Hi everyone, hope you're all fine. In week 8, we learn how to develop linear regression model. And we developed two models, one of them for in the guided practice and the other one in the challenge activity. And I expect everyone to know how to develop a linear regression model. But what is important now to know the type of the variables? Because if you look at the data sets that we used for those two models, all the variables are in continuous and integer form. When the variables are in these two formats, mainly in numerical and continuous form, or develops the model, and it's up to you how to interpret that. So there is nothing technically wrong about that. It depends on how you interpret that. But when the variables are in categorical form, the story is different, or character, the story is different, and we've got to make some changes. For example, here in the data set for child aggression that we used for developing a model, if you want to look at the structure of the data, you can use str function and call the data frame. You will see that all the variables are in numerical form, continuous, and we know how to develop model. But we've got another data set here, which is called Twitter. In this variable, we have the gender, job category, time spent on the Twitter a day, minutes per day, and the number of the retweets. So let's have a look to the type of the variables that we have here. The variables that we have in this data frame, there you go. As you see, gender is in character, so you cannot develop a model on that. And also job category is a categorical variable, although it considered that as a numerical, and you can develop a model on that, and it depends on how you interpret this, but technically it's better to use different type of variables. We call them, put them in factor in different levels. It means that it's better to break the gender into two variables, male and female, and see the influence of each in the model. Or in other way, what it does, it creates two variables, male, which is 1 when you're talking about the male people, and female is 1 when you're talking about the female, and the rest is 0. The same for job category. It means that we create 4 variables, job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4, technically under theory. And for people who are 1 in job category 1, job 1 is 1 and the rest are 0. For people in job category 2, job 2 is 1 and job 1, job 3, and job 4 are 0. So this is called putting variables into factors for categorical variables. How to do that? So let me clean the console and do this and start putting the variables in the factors. First of all, the names are quite long and it's really hard to work with them. So it's better to actually put some shorter names for the columns. So what I do, I use name function, names, call the data frame here. And then you see function to give 4 names to the 4 columns, gender, job, time, and retweets. It makes the life very easier for us. But nothing has happened to the structure of the variables. Let's see that again. Look, the variables are in this format. But what I do, I want to put them in factor. If you want to put them in factor, you need to use as factor function. Look, we said that the gender, we want to put into factor. How? Using as factor, as dot factor, and we call that variable gender in the Twitter, and we put it in the same variable. There you go. Nothing happens visually here, but it considers that as 2 levels. The same story for the job. I want to put it into 4 categories, levels, sorry. So Twitter job, we put it into 4. So let's look at the structure now. Look at our data structure. There you go. As you see, we've got 2 factors for gender and 4 factors for job. Job level 1, 2, 3, 4, and level 1 and 2, or female and male, for gender variable. Now I want to develop a model. If you want to develop a model, we use linear model LM function and call all the variables. So retweets is definitely my dependent variable, gender, job, and time are my independent, and I use the data frame Twitter. Let's look at the summary of that. We want to interpret this. Summary, there you go. This is the summary of my model. So what happens is that we've got this intercept, gender male, job 2, job 3, and job 4. There is no job female and there is no job 1. If you look at here, we have gender 2, the first one is female, the second one is male. And definitely the 1 is the first category in the jobs. So we don't see the first one. Why? Because it works based on the referencing or baseline. So female are the baseline for the gender variable, and job 1 is the reference or baseline for the job. What we see here, job 4 is important. It means that those people who are category job 4 and the time they spent, these are more important than the others. And gender, these two are important. And gender is not important. People in job 2 and job 3, and even job 1, they are not important. But how to interpret that? I think this is something that can help us. Look, in the first model that we have from the retweets, and the R square is 0.06095, or R square is 0.7. That's a really good model. But how interpret that? Look, retweets is the independent variable, and we've got the intercept, male, job 2, job 3, job 4, and time. What we understand here, when male is 1, female is 0, it means that this is when you put 1 here, you get the influence of the variable gender for 1 here. But what about the female? When male is 0, it means that this one will be eliminated from your model, because when male is 0 for that specific record, when this is 0, we don't have anything for this variable, and the influence of the female is hidden in the intercept. The same story for job 2, 3, 4, and job 1. Job 2, 1, it means that this is 1, the rest is 0, so you see the influence of job 1. Job 3, when the person in category 3 is 1, the rest are 0 for jobs. Job 4, the same story. But when all of them are 0, job 2, job 3, and job 4, when all of them are 0, the role of job 1 will be hidden in the intercept. So this is the model that we got. It's not a bad model, but definitely job is important, because job 4 we need to keep in the model. But gender is not that important. It's better to remove it from the model. So what I do, I create another model. I call it model 2. There you go. And here I remove the gender from that. Let's see what happens. I want to see the summary of that. Summary of the model 2. So as you see, first of all, if you compare the R square, the model for R squared, the adjusted R square, increased a little bit, but R square is almost the same thing, multiple R square. But adjusted one, which we look at the population, could be better. So it looks a bit better. And also the p-value of the f-test. So it means that in terms of the f-test, this model is better. And also, as you see here, the coefficients are changing and the intercept changed. So this model, in terms of the f-test, looks a bit better than the other one, and we removed the gender, which is not important. Again, the same story happens. If I want to explain you what happens in this model, model 2, we've got job 2, job 3, and job 4, and time. Only job and time important. Only these two variables are important. But we put it in the factors, and we can see the influence of each category. Job 2, job 3, and job 4. So we can see the influence of job 2 when person is job 2. When the person is in job 2 category, it becomes 1, the rest are 0. Job 3, this becomes 1, the rest is 0. And the other one, when job 4 is 0, the rest are 0. But when we want to see the influence of one person is in job 1, it means that the others are 0, and we see the influence of job 1 here. So this is the way that we can develop and you bring categorical variable into our model when we are sure that the variables are categorical. But again, if you want to use the same variables, put them as a continuous variable, you can still do that, but it depends on how you interpret the coefficients. So for example, here, what I see from this model, actually what I can do, I can change it, the orientation here. There you go. So what you see here, all of them together, that job 4, the variable is way bigger than the other one. It means that it has a more influence on retweets in terms of the number of the retweets, the same as time, but time because of the values are totally, they are bigger. But between job 2, job 3, and job 4 role plays a more important role because it is definitely statistically significant as well, because these two are statistically significant in this model. So I hope it's clear that what you've got to do with categorical variables when you have them in your model and how you can put them into factors. This is something that you may want to use in your coursework. Thank you very much, guys.